Hi, I'm Jill Rep from June Tailor. Brighten your day with your favorite beverage or treat and our new Quilt As You Go mug mats. Quilt As You Go mug mats come with 7 different patterns that are all pre-printed on our 80/20 cotton batting. You will also get 7 different statements included in the kit printed on 100% cotton. In addition to that, you're going to get full instructions for the 7 different mug mats, all color-coded. And they come in 3 different themes: spiritual, uplifting, and quilty fun. So you can have a new mug mat for every day of the week, or you can make 7 of them for your friends. The mug mat designs are adorable, easy to sew, very simple, and with Quilt As You Go, as you sew the top of the mug mat, you automatically quilt the back of it as well. So let's get started and show you how Quilt As You Go mug mats work. Each kit contains 7 different mug mat patterns printed on our 80/20 cotton batting. You will also get a sheet of statement blocks, and there are 7 different statements, each sized perfectly for the patterns that we give you in the enclosed instruction sheet. Everything is color-coded and very easy to follow. We're going to showcase our cozy cabin mug mat design today. It's super easy with only 7 seams to complete. So we start out by cutting each mug mat pattern out of the batting, leaving a 1/2 inch on each side of the design so that when we cut out our mug mats, they look like this. Then we're going to cut our backing, which is a little bit larger, 9.5 by 11.5. Our next step is to secure the backing to the batting, wrong sides together. To do this, we can either pin these 2 together, or we can use June Tailor's quilt basting spray. This is a quick and easy way to secure the cotton batting to the backing. We always spray the batting and then secure the backing. What Quilt As You Go really means is we're going to be sewing on the top side of our quilt sandwich all the way through the batting and the backing. So as you sew the top, you're automatically quilting all the way through to the back to have one complete finished sample. We refer to our instructions and we cut all the pieces out according to what it tells us. The reason we started with this is we have a mistake on this cozy cabin mug mat design. On our first piece that we cut, which is piece number 2, it should be 1.5 by 4.5 inches. So you want to cut your statement blocks out of the cotton that we're giving you, making sure to follow which statement block to use, and cut all of your individual fabrics so you're ready to sew. Following the numbers on the batting, put your statement block in number 1 and take your rectangle number 2 right sides together over the top of that statement block, always lining up your edges on the blue line of your batting. When this is complete, you're going to sew in a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I've got that done here. I've sewn in a 1/4 inch. You're going to flip this up and it should line up with the blue line right on the mat. This is where you want to finger press this seam open, not press it with an iron. Then you're going to find number 3, which is another rectangle, right sides together along the edge of what you've just sewn and following the blue line on the batting. You're going to sew this in a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I've got that done here. I've sewn along here. I'm going to flip that open. We're going to continue on in this same manner. It's always a good idea to pin as you sew because it keeps everything in place. I'm ready to do my last rectangle, right sides together along here, and I'm going to sew in a 1/4 inch seam allowance, flip it open, and finger press. After I finger press this last seam, my block is now complete and I can press the entire face of my block with an iron. After that, it's as simple as trimming your blocks, following along the outside edges of each side of the block. And you can use the little notches that we have printed on here to help line up your ruler from one side to the other. You're going to trim all 4 sides and simply bind your mug mat. If you do not know how to bind, refer to our instructions where it says binding mug mats, and we'll help you walk through that last step of the process. And there you are with your completed mug mat. 2 of the 7 mug mat patterns have dotted lines on them. When you see a dotted line, it means something needs to be pre-pieced before that piece goes into the mug mat. What we're going to do today is show you how to make flying geese block. So following the directions, we're going to cut our squares and our rectangles. On the back of the square, we're going to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner. Then, right sides together, we're going to put that square onto our rectangle, line it up, and we're going to sew right on that dotted line. And I've done that here. These are now sewn. We're going to trim this to 1/4 inch. So it looks like this, and then we're actually going to flip this and we're going to press that seam open with an iron. We'll then take our next square that has our diagonal line on, and we will attach it to the other side of our rectangle, and we will sew down that same diagonal line. Here is our sewing. Now we're going to trim that, which looks like this, and we'll flip this up, press it open with an iron. Once we're pressed open, this is what our flying geese block will look like. And you can see this is going to get positioned on piece number 2 and on piece number 3. We're going to also use this same set to start out with 4 and 5. So block number 4 starts out with this, and we're going to add 2 squares to it. So you're going to take another one of your squares, right sides together like this, and sew in a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I've got that done here. This will get flipped open and pressed. You're going to take your second square, right sides together, sew in a 1/4 inch seam allowance down here. And when that is completed and pressed open, this is what it will look like. Then this whole strip becomes number 4 across here. This will be positioned here, and as we're sewing, it will flip up like this to help create our star. Now we'll assemble this block, showing you how to use the pre-pieced flying geese. Our statement block number 1 goes here, and again you can pin this into place. 2 is one of the flying geese that we had already prepared. Right sides together, sew in a 1/4 inch seam allowance like this. And I've already done that here. So you can see my 1/4 inch, flip this open and finger press this. Then we're going to take another flying geese block, and what we're going to do is put that onto the seam line, sew in a 1/4 inch, and then that will be flipped open and pressed as well. That looks like this when all is done. And again, I've got these pinned in place, and remember, I'm automatically quilting right on the back. Now take your blocks 4 and 5 that you have pre-assembled, and with right sides together, we're going to sew, flip up, and again, right sides together, sew along here and flip down. Last, we'll be adding our 2 borders pieces, which go along each right and left side, sewing that in a 1/4 inch and flipping open. When this is all completed, we're going to trim around the edge of our block, following the outside lines of the batting. And you can see the little notch in here helps you guide your ruler to trim around all 4 sides. And then the last step is to do the binding. If you don't know how to do the binding, we have binding mug mat instructions right in your kits. Quilt As You Go mug mats are easy and fast. They're also great for beginners. So dig into your stash of fabrics, add a Quilt As You Go mug mat kit, and you can make 7 for yourself, 1 new one for each day of the week, or you can give them away to 7 different people as gifts. They come in 3 different designs again, which is our Quilty Fun designs, our spiritual designs, or we also have our uplifting designs. Make someone's day better with Quilt As You Go mug mats.